Okay, so yeah, we're gonna do a no reset Final Fantasy Legend 2 speedrun to probably to finish the stream off. It's always possible. I feel like doing more. It's not like super late, but we've been going for a while. But yeah, for this one, we'll be kind of playing it safe. We'll do marathon safe stuff. And yeah, no resets. Let's take it as it goes. 3, 2, 1, go. So at the very beginning here, we name our kind of main hero. We're gonna take human female. Here, actually, let me do some real names. Let's do real names, because that's what I'll actually do during the marathon on Wednesday. So 3, 2, 1. So human female, we'll name her Q. Apparently there's no text wrapping there. Yeah, so a lot of the story of this game is us looking for our dad. Our dad is off collecting magi so he can help protect the world or something. Years pass, he never came home. We're gonna go look for him. Mom says, make sure to tell your teacher you're leaving. So he's going to give us some sage advice. He's going to tell us about what the magi are, which are basically these magical relics that if you put 77 of them together, they'll create the statue of the goddess Isis, but they can also be abused for power, which we'll meet some gods who are doing just that. Then he says, why don't you take 3 of your classmates with you? So we're going to bring a mutant female. Let's see here, F. We are going to bring a baby D monster. It's going to be a G. And a killer robot, who we're just going to name period. Alright. Cool, so we're going to do some equipping here. Specifically, we're going to take the equipment off of our human, take it off of our mutant. And we're going to put these weapons, the rapier and the bow, onto the robot. So one of the things that's really going to make this run what it is putting a bunch of agility-based weapons onto our robot. That will basically increase the robot's agility stat, and then the damage that's done by agility weapons is based off the agility stat. So it's kind of this like self-reinforcing cycle where you are able to make the robot kind of stronger and then also do more damage. And we put the robot in the back there just so it can survive most fights and kind of be the thing that carries us through a lot of the run. So when we're doing shopping, we're usually shopping for agility-based weapons to make the robot stronger. We also have the monster in the 3rd slot, and it's going to end up being pretty important as well. It's actually going to be the thing that gets us through like the final boss. So the 2 in front are mostly there just to take hits. Nice, you beat Orgodamir. GG's, Itoriak, good job. Sorry I missed it, but glad you got him. Alright, so the first boss here is just this baby worm. Not really anything to worry about. Our teacher, Mr. S, can destroy it with 1 spell, so he's going to do that. And you notice we've like failed to run from a couple fights. Part of the reason we're failing to run is because Mr. S is in our party, so now that he's gone, we actually don't need to worry about that anymore. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Sounds good. It's been fun watching you play that, Zaitoriak, so. Yeah, running in this game is a little bit interesting. It's a little bit broken. The way it works is it's based off the agility of your whole party plus the guest slot, so that 5th slot where you could have a guest. And when there's nobody in that, it actually just assumes that it's like maximum agility in that slot. So when you don't have a guest, throughout pretty much the whole run, you're just guaranteed to run from every normal fight. So like right now, there's no guest in the party. Through the whole next dungeon, there's no risk that we're gonna fail to run from anything. So it's really nice. The run actually gets a little bit harder when you have a guest in your party a lot of the time, because then you do have to worry about that. And that's a lot of when you actually lose time. So we went and talked to Key. And Key is kind of like, she's like sort of like a priestess in this first homeworld here. And specifically, we're just asking her if she'd seen our dad. And she said, oh yeah, he came here, he was looking for magi. And basically, you know, there could be magi over in these ruins down here, these relic of the ancient gods or whatever. So she tells us how to get to it, and that actually opens up being able to enter this dungeon. For the most part in here, there's not like a ton to do. We're gonna pick up that whip, which is another agility weapon for the robot. And then we're just kind of making our way through to the end here. This is the first time we're gonna get more magi, so the way this game works is you're gonna go through all these different worlds. Right now we're in home world. You can see on my splits there's Ashura's world and Key's body. Well, Key's body doesn't count. Apollo's world, right? Guardian world, Venus's world. So we're gonna go through all these, and we're gonna pick up some magi. And we have to collect a certain number of them in order to be able to go to the next world. And specifically, we have to get like all of them that exist in that world. So here they are, but those guys just took them. It's playing this song here, which is actually the theme song of the Guardians, which is a hint that those guys are actually good guys. Not that you would necessarily know that on like your first playthrough. But the Guardians are actually like the organization that my dad is with. Everyone calls him Captain. Let me do a little bit of menu here. Let's put that whip on the robot. I'm also going to equip some of the magi I just picked up. We're going to put a mana magi on my monster and a speed magi on the robot. Speed magi on the robot is pretty self-explanatory. It's just going to increase the agility stat. Oh, those guys are dead. If we talk to them, they'll, they're just dead. The first guy, I think, says that they were ambushed by Ashura's men. So, a couple of the Guardians, they're trying to collect the Magi to keep it from the bad guys, just got totally waylaid like 20 seconds after they picked it up. And Ashura has now stolen that. The Mana Magi that I equipped on the monster there is for later, once I've evolved my monster into a Watcher. Because the Watcher is going to have a pretty important attack skill called Beam, and that's actually magic based, so having a little bit extra mana is going to help that do more damage. Alright, so we tell Key basically what happened, and she's like, we have to go stop Ashura. His base is in the north. So she joins the party so she can help. But all she's going to help doing is help us fail to run from more encounters. But that's fine. Ashura's base is pretty fun. It's a lot more fun dungeon than the last one because it's the zombie disco party. I do need to avoid the zombies because if I walk into one, it will trigger an extra encounter. And sometimes they do sort of just like to walk in front of you. Can't always avoid them. So, yeah, we have Key in our party, so we're failing to run again. This is normal. But fortunately this is actually a fairly short dungeon. Doesn't take too long to get through here. At the end of it we're gonna fight another like really easy mini boss. It's just like a rhino, which turns out to be a normal monster like 2 worlds after this. It's not going to be too much of an issue for us. And we'll basically decide that in order to fight Ashura himself, we're going to have to go into the next world. But that's kind of like, sort of leads you into the pattern of how this game works. You're collecting magi, you're going to fight some bosses, go through some dungeons. For the most part, most of the bosses are pretty easy. There's a couple that do get pretty scary later on in the run, and the final boss fight is very scary and hard. Fortunately, because this is like a Game Boy RPG, you can save right before these kind of hard boss fights, so it still becomes pretty safe for a marathon. But yeah, there are some of them that you know, it just becomes pretty RNG based. We're not going to deal with any of those for a little while here. The first one that we're really going to see is going to be Venus. About an hour into the run. But yeah, as you can see, Key has not really been helping us successfully get away from some of these monsters. One nice thing about the run mechanic is if you have any character who is dead, then the game will automatically let you run from anything that's not like a boss fight. Alright, so here's the Rhino. We have to take this guy out. Not going to be too much of an issue though. Key has the Thunder spell. My robot also has a gun. And it's gone. Okay, so before we leave, we're going to grab the Magi out of these chests. Alright, so we resolve. We're going to go get Ashura, but Key can't leave this world, so she's going to stay here. Thank goodness we can now run from battles again. So this is actually kind of like the world tree. This is Yggdrasil. And essentially you climb up these vines into this celestial world up here. And it connects to the next world. So Ashura's world here is kind of like a big desert. There are a couple towns, we're going to totally ignore those for the speedrun, and we're just going to walk straight into the sandstorm. And navigate through it straight into Ashura's tower here. So no need to mess around, we can just go straight from point A to point B when you know how to successfully navigate the sandstorm. There's a lot of like tiles that will move you in random directions in there, so if you get lost in the sandstorm it's actually kind of a problem. But as long as you stay on the path, it's okay. So here in Ashura's tower, this is kind of like divided into 2 halves. At about the halfway point, we're going to fight another mini-boss, another easy one called the Woodman. And we're going to get our next guest character in the party, who is Mask. Mask is going to be pretty helpful for fighting Ashura at the end of this dungeon. But he's also going to make it so we are at risk of failing to run from some of these regular encounters again. So we're hoping that doesn't happen, because right now it's pretty easy to run from everything, and that's pretty nice. You saw I picked up a saber out of that treasure chest and equipped it on my robot. That's my robot's new best weapon. We replaced the Colt with that, and that's what he's going to be using to deal some damage here. One shot on the Woodman there because my agility is so good. And we're gaining HP. This game doesn't have like traditional experience points and levels like you might expect in a lot of JRPGs. What you get are certain stat gains pretty randomly, although certain conditions have to be met in order to get them. Don't need to get into all that too much. It's more just like it's nice when you get them. Having more HP, especially toward the end of the run on your front couple characters, is pretty nice. That treasure chest up there is just another Colt. We don't need that. It's not an agility weapon, and it's not really worth that much when I sell it, so. We are going to pick up quite a few items that are along the path here in order to sell for money so we can afford better equipment, mostly for the robot. Yeah, this is, I think, a couple run fails with Mask in the party here. You might have noticed that Mask looked kind of like Dad. He's wearing a hat. But of course Mask is not Dad. No one thinks he is. So yeah, we're gonna skip those two chests. They're not worth too much. They're just like potions. But these two up here are worth quite a bit. And then we're gonna fight Ashura. And he tells us that Key has some magic in her body, which is why she has the power of healing. And he sent some people into her body. He made them really small so that they could take the magi out of Key's body, which is not very nice. Ashura, he's got this really strong single target attack, 6 arms, where he hits you 6 times, just like that. But for the most part, Mask and my robot can take this guy down pretty quick. Alright, he gives us all the magi that he's collected. And we automatically head back to Key's temple here. Yeah, it's not very nice, that's right. Mask Dad. Cool, so we talked to that little sprite next to Key. And yeah, she's basically just kind of reiterating the situation there. She's like, yeah, Ashura did send his guys in. Key's not looking very good there. And then she says that the giants know how to become very small, how to micronize. So she gives us a piece of magi there that allow us to enter the giants' world and tells us that's where we should go look to figure out how to do that. So that's what we're gonna do next. So back into the celestial world. We're just gonna head straight past Ashura's world. There's nothing more for us to do there. And into Giant's World. Okay, so we had Mask in our party. He had some business. He had to go do some stuff, so we let him go. And, oh hey, it's Dad. He's right here. Coincidentally. Alright, so he gives us a piece of magi. He's been gone all these years, and he's collected, I guess, 1 piece of magi. Good for him. And then he says, we gotta keep looking for these, but once we've finished protecting the world, I'll finally go home and see my wife. Her name is Jane, by the way. She has a name. Our dad doesn't get to have a name, but she's got one. And then we're asking the shopkeeper how he has these, like if you go around the front of the shop, he's gonna have a bunch of giant equipment, which is really good equipment. It's very overpowered and very expensive for this part of the game. You can't really afford it. You'd have to find some very creative ways to make money to be able to afford much of it. But he tells you that Johnny in the cafe told him how to get into the Giants town, so talk to Johnny and he tells us how to get there. And then he also asks if we think he's a giant. We say yes because it's less text, and he tells us, well, that's not true, but I think we all know that Johnny was a giant who became small. Cool, so yeah, he told us how to get into the town here, so we're gonna go ahead and find the secret spot in the staircase. There's the rhino that was a boss a couple worlds ago. We're also going to see that Woodman monster as a regular enemy now. Okay, so there's two places we have to go in the Giant's Town here. First, there's this house that actually has some magi in it. We're gonna walk under the table. Why not? So, 2 magi there. And that actually allows us to enter the next house. This game is, for the most part, extremely linear, where you just have to pick up some magi before you can get through some door later on. And this town is like the clearest example of that. We pick up 2 pieces of magi there. That allows us to enter the second house. If we didn't pick that magi at first, we couldn't come in there. And this is where we're going to pick up the Micron, which is the item that allows us to become small and enter Key's body to save her from Ashura's men. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to get back to Key this time, so we just gotta walk back. The game is actually pretty good about not making you backtrack across all of these worlds too often, but there's a couple spots where you have to take a minute to do it, and this is one of them. So we're just gonna head right back the way we came. Again, right past Ashura's world, there's nothing for us there. And back to our homeworld for the last time. Okay, so we're gonna stop by this town really quick here because I need to pick up a weapon. I'm gonna sell all the cool stuff I picked up so far. So I'm gonna pick up this SMG submachine gun for my robot. The boss of the next dungeon, which is Key's body, is a group. And up until this point, I don't have any good weapons to fight a group of monsters. So that's why I stopped by and purchased that submachine gun to equip onto my robot. That's going to allow him to take out the entire group of monsters in basically one attack. So it's a little bit out of the way to go do it, but totally worth it. So we use the Micron, and we are here inside of a perfectly anatomically representative version of the inside of Key's body. We are going to pick up 6 pieces of magi that are scattered throughout her body here. And yeah, this is kind of like the lull in the run. This is probably the chillest part, let's say. You just listen to this underwater music, find a fire magi in her ring finger there. And you can run from every encounter in here because we don't have a guest in the party. So you're just kind of moving along. The monsters that you fight inside of Key's body are pretty interesting. It's like half things that would just normally, you know, be in a body, or you could kind of imagine they'd be in a body. Cobble seems like one of the weirder ones. Like, it's like a rock. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But there are worms, there are crabs, there are viruses, there are like plasma, amoeba things. And then there's also all of the things that Ashura sent in here. So there are like terrorists, and there are ninjas and stuff like that. The horses, there are like the woodmen. All of that stuff is in here. So it's kind of this mix of, yeah, things that would be in Key's body anyway, and maybe are protecting Key. And then the stuff that Ashura sent in. I guess the Cobble is probably one of Ashura's monsters, because it's there with the Rhino. Although that time you have the worm with the ninja and the terrorist, so I don't know. Maybe they do become friends for some reason. I don't feel like the worm is on Ashura's side. The Oni, yeah, that's another Ashura monster. Alright, grab this Thunder Magi out of her toe. So far we've gotten one out of her hand, one out of her heart, and one out of her toe. This pretty much covers off the left side of her body here, so head over to the right side. There's an amoeba. Yeah, they kind of mix it up. That was an amoeba along with a terrorist and a horse. It's you know, it's a saga game. Okay. This is my favorite part of Key's body. This is the guts. Walking through Key's guts. We are just walking through Key's guts. We are walking through Key's guts. We are still walking through Key's guts. The horse is in your lung, that's right. It's not good. No one likes to get a horse lung. Alright, so we make our way all the way through the intestines and into the stomach. I think that part's actually pretty cool. Like, if you're gonna make somebody's body, you should definitely make a thing out of the intestines. It's gonna be the most interesting part of the body to navigate. I think that I think the weirdest tile in this game is the hole on the other side of this, on the other side of Key's feet. Check out this hole tile that we emerge from. I feel like it's a weird one. What's going on with that tile? Isn't that weird? Why doesn't it look like the normal cave tile, like what you walk into? Alright. That's 5 out of the 6 that we need here. There's one more in Key's other hand. There's that grip monster I was talking about earlier that is French for a bad flu. I love that it's just like a virus with hands. Alright. So with this one, we can actually access Key's head, or her brain. I feel like we walk like directly into her brain stem. That's what this feels like to me. Because like this is Key's head, and we're going up to the top. Opened. So again, we had to get all that magi before we could go through that door. And here we are, walking through like all of the wrinkles of Key's brain. Walking through Key's brain. Okay, and then we finally see Key's cell is guarding the magi, so this is what we got that SMG for. There's a group of 5 of them, but they're immediately gone. Grab our final magi, and never talk to Key again. We are out of there. Some funky gem mine. Oh, that's funny. didn't recognize that extremely realistic graphic portrayal of the inside of the human body. It's hard to believe, Polantaris. Cool, so here we are equipped with quite a bit of magi now. And that's going to allow us to access the next world, which is Apollo's world. This is where we finally get to meet Apollo. Apollo is kind of like the main villain of Final Fantasy Legend 2. We meet him here, but we don't fight him in his own world. We're actually not going to fight him until Final World. When we meet him here for the first time inside of his very cool castle, he's actually kind of going to be nice. He plays his cool, weird music and tells us where we can find some magi. He also just gives us one. Why not? One is where wind blows underground, one is where flame burns underwater, one is where darkness shines brightly. So, it gives us some hints about the 3 dungeons in this world where we can go collect some magi, and we're gonna head straight there. We're actually gonna start with the flame burning underwater. If we went into this town, there would be some people talking about mermaids, and there would be some people talking about Neptune being a god who lives under the water, which we can just kind of walk into. Why not? Makes sense. It turns out that Neptune's not real. Neptune is just a volcano underwater. Yeah, I think that in the town, the story is that someone fell in love with a mermaid and then just walked off the pier. Which turns out to be your hint that you can also just walk off the pier into the ocean there. Imagine thinking that somebody you thought was real was actually just a volcano. So yeah, kind of going through here, picking up some nice stuff. And this is actually a pretty short dungeon. We are almost through it already. There's not really a lot to this place. We are taking some damage from the fire tiles, but all they can do is bring us down to 1 HP, and then they won't actually kill us after that. That last magi that we picked up there was the True Eye, and that actually allows us to enter the next dungeon where darkness shines brightly. Slide up. And thank goodness we can see, because you wouldn't want to not be able to see the next dungeon. That's right. It's Disco Dungeon Part 2. No zombies this time, but this one's got the dance floor. I actually think this looked very cool on the small Game Boy screen. I think when it's on a big screen like this, it's a little bit more disorienting. It's a lot of movement. It's definitely one of those things that worked a lot better on the original hardware. But I don't know, I still think it's pretty cool. This is the first dungeon in the game where we have monsters that could ambush us. Specifically, there's a monster in here called the Saber Cat, and it has the surprise ability. So, if we see that guy, which I'm sure we will, we just kind of hope we don't get ambushed. Going to pick up a laser sword here. This is a much better agility weapon for my robot, so we're just going to replace that SMG with that. the submachine gun has served its purpose and now we're done with it. We'll just sell it back for some amount of gold later and get back on the equipping the robot with agility weapons train. Yeah, I agree, Visual. It's very satisfying when you walk south on this floor. You end up walking north way too much in this dungeon. It'd be more fun if you were walking south through all these rooms. Because it does go like the exact same speed as you walk. Alright, so here's the last room of this dungeon. We're gonna pick up 3 more Magi. Yeah, it is kind of funny when you walk down though, the squares stay in the same spot on the screen and everything else moves. It's like that effect when you like are in a car and then a car next to you starts moving and you're looking at it and you feel like you're moving. Alright, that was a good dungeon. No ambushes, so happy to see that. So that's the last town in this world right there, and that's Lynn's town. We're gonna meet Lynn in a minute. She's actually inside this cave. So this cave, it's actually kind of like a little bit of a reflection of what was happening in that south town where people were talking about Neptune. People talk about like a god or something inside the mountain here called Dunatis. It turns out that Dunatis, unlike Neptune, is actually real. It's not a god, he's just like a killer robot, just like what we have. But fortunately, our killer robot is faster and more killer than theirs. So at the very bottom of this, there's actually a slide that will fall down. It's like a one-way trip. And we'll meet Lynn at the bottom of it, and she'll say, "Hey, I'm trapped. The only way to get out is to go through Dunatis." So she's gonna join the party, and then we will have to get through Dunatis to get out of here. Three encounters in 5 squares. Yeah, I haven't talked about the encounter rate yet, but the reason that I'm not talking about like that, where I got into 2 encounters in 2 steps, is the encounter rate in this game is actually totally fixed. You're just on a regular encounter cycle that has a certain number of steps in between battles. It's like a little different in some different zones. I think there's like 4 different zones or something. But it kind of just is what it is. It's not like another game where it's, you know, randomly a 1 in 16 chance to get into encounter on certain tiles or anything like that. It's just always counting down to the next one, and it's a fixed pattern, so it's actually not worth thinking about that much. Dunatis here. Eliminate. It's here. We get some HP and some Magi and an X-Cure, which is actually pretty helpful. We'll use that in preparation for fighting Venus later. We also see Dad with another family. That's weird. Okay, we're gonna sell all of our stuff again. Buy 2 headbutts and 1 laser sword. Equip that on the robots. So at this point, our robot actually has all of its equipment spots full, and it's up to 69 agility, so it's getting pretty powerful. And again, the agility-based weapons will do more damage, both based on like the innate power of the weapon, but also the robot's agility stat. So as that goes up, the robot just gets more and more powerful. And that's why he jumps out the window, yeah. He's trying to hide while he goes to hang out with his secret other family. Yeah, we'll learn in a minute on the other side of Guardian's world that Lynn's dad was a Guardian, like a colleague of my dad's, and he died in the line of duty, so my dad feels like some kind of obligation to take care of this family. Unlike his own family, which I guess he feels no obligation to take care of. Here we are. So this is the home base of the Guardians. We go into the cafe there and we play the Guardians theme song here. This is the same one that played at the very beginning of the game, when those guys took my Magi and then got totally owned by Ashura's men. That allows you to get the secret entrance into the Guardians base. And they immediately don't recognize us, throw us into jail. So it's a JRPG, you gotta get thrown into jail sometime. So we go track down Dad. He's like, why don't you just have a rest? I'm sure we'll talk in the morning. But while we're sleeping, the base gets attacked. It's not exactly clear who's behind this, it's just like the gods. I think it's probably Apollo, but it's not super obvious. This is not the guy I'm fighting. This is the guy I'm fighting. So we're gonna go through like a kind of mini boss rush here. Each one of these is gonna give me some Magi, and we're also gonna get Dad to join the party here for a minute. Although right now we're gonna call him Captain or Father or Dad. They're all right there in that one text box. Alright, we are gaining HP today for sure. Yeah, it is kind of funny when you, oh nice, sleep book drop, that's great. When you have your main character be a robot or a monster, it's kind of fun when, you know, your mom and dad are just like kind of ordinary looking humans and then their child is a robot. But that's the world of Saga 2, it's totally fine. That worm isn't concerned at all. Alright, Commando can ambush you, he has surprise, so this is normal. He didn't hit me with a very hard attack though. Alright, so we beat this guy up. Ooh, nice bazooka drop, very good. He tells us that they've kidnapped Lynn in the next world, so we're gonna go, obviously, try and save Lynn. We've got enough Magi to make it into this world. This is the smallest world in the whole game. You got these kind of shops that are they've moved into the Celestial world. Those are the shops from Guardian Town that had to relocate after getting destroyed by all those monsters. Okay. We have Dad in the party, so we're failing to run again. Alright, so yeah, we call this Ninja Ambush World. Here's the ninja. Alright, so Dad gives us a piece of Magi. He crashes into the ninja and blows himself up, which is just so like Dad. Lynn is sad. She's been through some stuff, that makes sense. Alright, and ninja ambushes us. It's actually not guaranteed that the ninja ambushes you, but has surprise, and it happens a lot. Fortunately, still dies to our killer robot in one hit. Probably could have fought that guy instead of Dad, but what are you gonna do? Alright, so we can actually talk to either one of them to get this Magi, but we're gonna talk to Lynn's mom because it's less text. She gives us the final piece of Magi we need before we can go on to Venus's world. One last glimpse at the horse walking around on hind legs, 2 legs, looking good. Alright, so the game is going to make us go through some repeated stuff in the Celestial World here. That's a healthy looking horse. That's a good point. So this is Guardian's World again, because the game automatically took us back to Lynn's town, which makes sense. We had to take her home. This is Ninja Ambush World. Nothing good for us there. And then here we go on to Venus's World. So if you play the game casually, there are going to be a few parts of the game that really stood out to you as being like pretty big segments, and this is one of them. Venus's World is definitely one of the biggest parts of the whole game. It's pretty tough casually. There's a lot of hard things that happen here. And yeah, it's not that easy in the speedrun either, I would say. So Venus kind of has this like city with these high walls, and she only allows beautiful things inside of her city, and she controls the flow of traffic in and out with her own killer robot guards here. But we go talk to her and she's like, "Oh, you killed Ashura, that's cool. He was really ugly." So she lets us leave town, do whatever we want. She's like, "I don't think there's any magi here though." One thing that's pretty funny when you play this game casually is the piece of magi that you start the game with, that your dad gives you in that opening cutscene, is the prism magi, and if you use that as an item, it will actually tell you how many pieces of magi there are in the world where you are right now. Every world up to this point, you know, there's been like maybe like, I think Apollo's world is the most with 10. Most of them have like 4 or 5. But yeah, you go and you talk to Venus, and she's like, "I don't think you're gonna find any magi here." And you use the prism, and it's like, "Oh, there are 17 pieces of magi in this world." There's a ton here. So, yep, we're gonna find it all over the place. This werewolf monster is the one that has the surprise attack, so they're all over in the overworld in Venus's World. So yeah, getting ambushed in Venus's World is just part of the experience. Okay, so we talked to Leon in that village. That's kind of like the village of outcasts. The people who aren't beautiful enough to live in Venus's city anymore get sent out to that village. We talked to Leon. He's like, "It's actually pretty nice out here. I like it more. But I miss Flora," who was like his significant other, who is still beautiful inside the city. Leon got cast out because he injured his leg, and Venus doesn't like it. Alright, so first we gotta fight this hermit crab. It's holding on to a key. Not really sure what it's doing with it. That meat drop could be significant if I were doing a different monster route than I'm doing right now, but it doesn't matter for this one. So it gives us the key there. And that's going to allow us to enter 2 more doors in the sewer, which are actually where the magi is. I don't know if it's ever explained why there's magi in the sewers of Venus's city. If you go talk to her after you do this, she's like, "Oh, you found magi in the sewers? That's weird." Which is pretty funny. Like, even she is like kind of surprised that it was just down there. But she's busy, you know, she's got other stuff going on, so she's not really worried about it. In these rooms we're picking up the magi, we're ignoring the boss in the bottom right, and that's because it's actually like a monster in a box. It's not anything good, and in fact it's pretty bad. It's an unrunnable fight that's really pretty powerful. So if you accidentally open that one, you're gonna regret it. Yeah, Venus has no idea what's going on, basically. All this magi just in the sewers, just getting flushed down the drain or something. I don't know. Anyway, the party smells really good right now after going through the inside of someone's intestines and now going through the sewers of Venus' city. Alright, so, yep, we just come back out into Venus's kind of palace here. Unfortunately, that's like a one-way door. It would have been nice if we could go in through that same door. Would have been a lot shorter, but not a possibility. Okay, so there have been all these earthquakes lately, and it turns out that the reason there have been so many earthquakes is because there was a volcano that was about to appear out of the ground. Yeah, it's Neptune. Maybe it's Neptune. So obviously we gotta go check that place out. It turns out there's gonna be even more magi in there. This one I think nobody's really surprised about. Like a volcano pops out of the ground, you expect there's gonna be a bunch of magi in there. And in fact, it's so obvious to everybody that we are not the only ones who are going to be looking for magi here. Leon, right there, is going to follow us, and he's actually going to end up taking one of the pieces of magi at the end because he wants to confront Venus and essentially rescue Flora from the city. But the volcano is a pretty long dungeon here. The underwater volcano is fairly short, but this one's pretty big, so it's gonna take a while. Leon is gonna have some following to do for quite a while. We also are able to pick up a couple pretty useful treasures in here as well. We are still trying to pick up things that are going to be worth money to sell, because we have a lot of equipment to buy in the future. Plus, for the end game, we actually need to buy quite a few healing items. So we're sort of always thinking about money. One thing that was nice is when we were fighting those mini-bosses in the Guardian world, 2 of them dropped pretty valuable items. The Magician dropped a sleep book, and the Commander guy dropped a bazooka. So those are both really nice to get. And you kind of hope to get good valuable item drops in that world from fighting all those bosses. Alright, we don't take that one. Leon's still following us. We are going to grab both of these, fire gun and a mage staff. Those are both worth a lot of money. The serpent monster on the left there has the surprise ability, so that's what is ambushing us now. Both the serpent and the pea flower monster in the volcano here have the surprise ability. Had one party member died of poison there, that's funny. We only had 1 HP because of all the lava, so poison damage finished me off there. That's pretty funny. Fortunately, my robot can't get poisoned. Robot is immune to poison, which makes sense. When you play this game casually, a lot of the time you're going to take that upper path instead of going into the lava because it leads to a heal tile, which suggests this might be a nice place to grind. Honestly, I don't think the volcano is a very good place to grind, but there it is. It's also just a way to refresh your health, obviously, which is pretty useful. It's a very long dungeon, and you've had to walk through a lot of lava to get here. But the thing about it is you're now at the end of it, so I don't know if it really makes that much sense. Like, this is the last room in the whole dungeon. Heal tile may be a little bit more helpful in like the halfway point. Alright, so we pick up this power magi, except before we can actually put it in my pocket, Leon attacks us from behind and steals it. So he's got that one. He's probably gonna go do something very foolish So if you talk to, we did talk to Flora before the volcano popped out of the ground, and she said that Venus has arranged for her to marry this other guy, not Leon, this guy named Nils. Nils is like kind of weird. He gives you some weird vibes. Because if you talk to him, he's gonna be like, oh yeah, it's too bad about Leon, but I mean, Flora's kind of a babe, so I don't really mind that Venus is gonna make me marry her or whatever. You know, it's weird. It's not that cool. But he turns out to be kind of cool after we beat Venus up, so I mean, it's not all bad, I guess. But yeah, so the wedding ceremony for Nils and Flora is about to start. Here we are. No questions or objections allowed. Yeah, he is beautiful with the... He's got like some bat wings or something. I'm not really sure what's going on with Nils. So, Leon shows up with his one Magi and he thinks he can beat up Venus with it. Turns out that's not gonna work. It was never gonna work. But Flora takes Leon's knife and makes a scar on her face, so she will be cast out of the city. Venus is like, nah man, you can't tell me what to do. Starts threatening everybody, and then we have to step in here. So I heal up with that X cure that we got earlier. And take a little safety save, because Venus can be actually pretty dangerous if she decides to do some mean stuff. Yeah, that song is really good. That song is called Burning Blood. Alright, she hit my mutant with an instant death attack there, but yep, right on. So she had a whole bunch of Magi, turns out, including the Aegis Magi, which is really important. Aegis is a really powerful, kind of like defensive item, so we're going to be using that quite a bit for a while. Alright. So Leon tells Nils that he actually knows a girl who likes him. Nils is like, man, you're so popular. And I guess everyone is happy. In the end credits, you actually see that they've taken down all of the walls of Venus's city. And so it's just kind of like a city, but it's open to the rest of the world. It's kind of nice. Yeah, they all live happily ever after. That's right. Cool, so we're gonna go straight from Venus's world into my favorite world, which is Dragon Racing World. So we're not gonna talk to him in the speedrun, but Apollo is actually here in this town now, and he's holding this dragon race. So we can rent a dragon and participate in the race. We're actually gonna pick the second fastest one for 800 gold. We picked the second fastest one because actually keeps us from having to fight one of the 4 mini bosses that are on the course here. If you take the fastest one, you have to fight all of them. If you take the slowest one, you only have to fight the last one. But we'll take the second one. It's kind of a good compromise. What's nice is that the second boss, which is the first one we have to fight with this dragon, they didn't put the boss flag on it. So it shows up here, but I can just run from it. And it's like I defeated it. We get the piece of Magi, and we can move on. We are going to have to fight the following 2 boss fights. We don't get to do that anymore. Alright, so we're going to take a little safety save here. And so this is the Lamia. I am looking for a group of 2 or fewer, which we got. And just attacked my human, that's fine. Alright, so Lamia down, no real issue there. The next one is the Watcher. So this is probably the biggest RNG in the entire speedrun outside of the final boss. We're gonna take another safety save here. So we need 2 things in this fight. We need a small group of them, so 1 is great. And we need it to drop meat after we kill it. and it did not drop meat. So this is absolutely required for our monster evolution route. And this is where you can lose a lot of time if you get unlucky. There were 4 of them there. 3 of them. 4 of them. Just keep getting big groups here. Happy to fight 1 or 2. These guys can be pretty dangerous. They have the beam ability, which is the thing I'm going to use when I have it. Because I'm going to evolve into a watcher. That's what we're going to have once we eat the meat here. Okay, robot, don't miss. Alright, there's the meat. Not too bad. Changed into a watcher. We get the last 2 pieces of magi, and we finish the race. It's not really a race, it's just that everyone gets killed by monsters. So, by default, we win. Even if you take the slowest dragon, that's how you win the race. Apollo would congratulate you if you wanted to go talk to him, but because it's a speedrun, we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going straight into the next world. This is Edo World. So this world is basically like old Japan. We've got samurai, we've got cool big palaces. It's a pretty fun world. Kind of like Venus's world. This is one of the bigger ones. But I'd say that casually, Venus is a harder fight than anyone you fight here. So we're gonna head into this really big city of Edo. And these guys are kind of like blocking the bridge. They just start fighting us. So I'm going to use this beam skill that I just got by evolving into a watcher and take him out instantly. Nice, they dropped a magnum, that makes a lot of sense. And I guess they were going to fight us again, it's not really clear, but then Hana shows up here. And she's like, we don't attack people in our town, that's not nice. We all say, well, she's pretty cool, and then we move on. Bazooka's worth so much money. Magnum is also worth a lot. Alright, we're gonna pick up a cat claw here. Cat claw is a really, really good agility weapon for our robot. It's actually gonna end up being the most powerful single target weapon that the robot has for the whole rest of the game. And I'll equip that in a minute once I have kind of a big menu coming up. Meanwhile, we're gonna go track down Hana, who actually lives in this town over here. And she's gonna say, yeah, she's a detective. She's avenging her father, who was investigating smuggling by this guy called Echigoya. We're like, we should go check that out. That sounds suspicious. What else are we doing here, I guess? May as well start getting involved in other people's problems. So Echigoya has this giant shop. This place is just huge. We go behind the counter, and just like the guy who sold the Giants goods in Giants Worlds, we just start threatening him until he tells us what we need to hear. So we ask, you know, where are the goods coming from? And he's like, oh, the ship is still in the harbor. So head down to the harbor here. And we are trying to find evidence of Echigoya's smuggling. Now, what would he be smuggling, you might be wondering? It's a very important question. We're going to find out when we get to the bottom of the ship. So down here we find a treasure chest with a laser gun. That sounds like just the kind of thing I would want to equip onto my killer robot. If that's what you're thinking, then you are correct. We're also going to find a tank here. And another important item called the Hecate Boots. All of these are actually going to be really helpful. Alright, so I got a kind of big menu here before I talk to Hana and Taro. So we are going to equip the tank on my human here. My robot is going to get this cat claw and that laser gun. And I'm also going to equip that Aegis Magi that I got from Venus. It's going to go on my mutant. Alright, so Hana says, this ship is full of bananas. We can arrest Echigoya. So, yeah. There you go, bananas. In the original Japanese version, it's not bananas, it's drugs. But the sensitive, tender sensitivities of the United States in the early 90s could not have handled it. We couldn't have handled that, so changed it to bananas in the translation. Yeah, bananas aren't drugs, I know. I mean, yeah, they are. Yeah, say no to bananas, folks. Alright, so with all of our, let's call it evidence of the banana smuggling, we're gonna go straight to the judge. Yeah, that's the message. Alright, everyone congratulates themselves and each other. We finally did it. We caught Echigoya. And then this guy comes in and he's like, nope, no bananas. So the judge lets him go. We go back to Hana's house, and she's like, oh, could the cops be in on it? And my hero, my poor naive hero, is like, don't be so suspicious, Hana. And then a cop literally comes in, and he's like, Hana, give it up, there are some big guys concerned in this case. Which tells you immediately that, yeah, the cops are in on it. Go figure. Alright, so Hana's gonna join our party. We gotta take this straight into our own hands. Can't trust the law. We must become the law. And we are going to go confront Echigoya ourselves. So straight into Echigoya's shop here. He's not here behind the counter, so we actually are able to go see what's going on downstairs. Turns out he's also got some people guarding downstairs, and some floating eyeballs and some mosquitoes. But we all have those in our basements. That's normal stuff. Horses in your lungs, and floating eyeballs in your basement. Alright, so Echigoya is actually back here with the Shogun. Man, this does go straight to the top. And they're just kind of like congratulating each other on how bad they are. Our robot starts playing some disco music, and we call them some dirty scums. Charge on in. Alright, tank. We're gonna use that Aegis now. We're gonna beam the Hatamotos. I actually need to switch my robot over to Cat Claw before I forget. It's better than the laser sword. Didn't really matter for this fight, but it's gonna matter soon. Alright, so we take those guys out. Echigoya is like, the Shogun made me do it, I'm innocent. Which, I mean, he's not, but whatever. We got bigger fish to fry now. Taro turns out as a guardian, so we're gonna play the guardian music. And he is going to join the party. We are gonna go into Shogun's palace now. Since this does indeed go all the way to the top. Can't handle all this banana smuggling. So Shogun's palace is pretty big. We have to get past these guards at the gate first. We can't run from this fight, we have to fight them. So tank, Aegis beam, and this is gonna go to Cat Claw. Okay, we should be able to take these guys out in one round, as long as my human doesn't die and is actually able to use the tank on those knights on the right. Tank is pretty helpful in that it does defend against a lot of physical attacks, but it's not like guaranteed. But that went fine. That gets us through the gate. We can actually run into that same fight again at the top of the palace. So I gotta keep a watch out for it because it does have a boss flag. If you try to run from it, you're gonna be sad. But that's something to worry about later. In a speed run, it's definitely concerning because you're gonna lose time by having to take that fight instead of just being able to run away from it really quickly. We are also past the point in the game where having a guest in the party is gonna cause us to fail to run from anything. Our robot is so fast now. Our guests are actually relatively fast. So, even though we have guests in the party with Hana and then Taro here, it's actually not a problem. We're going to be able to successfully run from everything. But yeah, this is a cool dungeon, since it's like a old, yeah, like Japanese imperial palace. It's pretty awesome. You've got like the gold leaf art on the walls and all the sliding paper doors and stuff. It's very cool. Very cool dungeon. Okay, so here is the floor where we could possibly run into that fight from the gate again. So if I see a stone man, that's going to be my signal that I'm probably encountering that fight. It can be a stone man alone, it could be a stone man with ninjas, it could be a stone man with knights. Any one of those is actually the unrunnable fight from the gate showing up here. I pick up that dragon shield, it's just money. We still need money, and I'm going to pick up this samurai bow, which is a really good group attack agility weapon for my robot. I'm going to place the saber with that. And I'm also going to just rearrange my equipment here to put the bow next to the cat claw, because I'm going to be going between those two weapons quite a bit. Alright, so the Shogun is here. It is time to, I guess, kill him. That's what we're doing. Yep. He has sleep gas, good try, and he's gone. Okay, so it turns out it's actually his daddy, the magnate, so he actually kills the Shogun, not us. Gotta get past these guys. We're gonna safety save before we get into this fight, because he's actually pretty dangerous. Yeah, thanks, Taro. Okay, so he's like, oh, you brought me some magi, that's nice. And indeed we did. So Magnate is dangerous if he uses his tornado ability. Thunder, that's fine, not a big deal. It did hit my robot, which is not great. My robot really needs to live through this fight, but now that I've gotten that Aegis up, I'm going to be protected from all elemental attacks from here on. So Aegis is pretty good about protecting from some physical attacks like the katana that he tried to do there, and it will always protect against elemental attacks once it's up. So from here the fight is fairly safe. The really dangerous thing is Tornado, because that's a non-elemental attack, and it does a ton of damage to the entire party. But we never saw it, that was fine. And yeah, give me all your magi. He only had 4. He's not quite as loaded as Venus was. But yeah, there you go. That was Edo World. We have solved the smuggling and destroyed the government. So yeah, mission accomplished. This world is Nasty Dungeon. it's a dungeon. It's pretty nasty. There's one Magi here, and it's right there. So, in order to progress the story, all we need is to grab that Pegasus Magi out of that box. There's nothing else we have to do there. That's actually kind of like it's a little bit of like a bonus dungeon. It's extremely large. There's a bunch of actually really cool equipment in there. There's a bunch of monsters that you don't see if you don't go in there. But for the speedrun, there's just no time for it. We are moving on here to Odin's world. So we're up in the clouds. This one's kind of interesting because it doesn't directly connect through the world tree. We actually have to go through Odin's castle here. Odin's palace. I guess Valhalla Palace here. In order to get through to the other side and onto the next world. It hasn't happened to us at any point in the run today, but if you were to die at any point, like a full party wipe, it wouldn't game over you. You would actually find yourself here talking to Odin. And Odin would say, I'll let you return to the fight if you promise to fight me one day. Usually in a casual playthrough that will have happened to you at some point. It's pretty easy to die in this game. So when you come back here, you'll talk to Odin, and he'll say, oh, the time has come, you know, I need you to fight me. But what's funny is if we never die up till this point, he actually doesn't have anything to say to us, because he doesn't know who we are. So we're just going to enter the fight silently, there's not going to be any text, and that is faster from a speedrun standpoint, so that works out fine for us. Yo, hey Sandrina, thank you for the 40 months. You feel old, but you don't look a day over 40 months. Rolls an 8. That's too bad. The cool thing about Odin too... Ouch. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Sorry. Yeah, it's very cool. Another cool thing though is once you kill Odin, if you die in any fight after that, it is a game over, because Odin is no longer there to send you back into the fight. So you do need to be a little bit more careful after this point. Alright, so we're going into Odin. Odin is a very difficult boss fight. There's a lot that can go wrong here. So we're going to start by kind of focusing on taking out his henchmen here, the Odin Crows and the Sleipnir. Okay, my human is down before it could tank, but that's not a big deal. Apparently Odin was also going to attack my human, so he did nothing. Guess that works. We do have the Aegis up now, which is really nice, so if Odin uses thunder or ice, then it's not going to work. And yeah, his Gungnir Spear there, that's the really dangerous attack from Odin. Lightning, not a problem. He can cure himself, that would be fine. The thing we really don't want him to do is use his Gungnir Spear on my robot. He probably wouldn't be able to kill it in one hit, but it's possible. Alright, so we got the Sleipnir meat. You saw there that we only got 330 gold. So that's actually a glitch. It's not a good glitch. It's a bad glitch. So Odin should actually drop more like 30,000 gold instead of 300. But when the Sleipnir drops meat, like what happened there, which doesn't usually happen, it's like a 1 in 8 or something. For some reason the game glitches out and it gives you like 10% of the gold that you should, or not 10%, like 1% of the gold you're supposed to get in that fight. So that's always kind of bad, but we have backups. Yeah, you never want to see the horse meat drop there, the Sleipnir meat. It's not good. So we're entering Final World here. Inside of Final World there's a big dungeon called the Final Cave, and there are 2 backup items I'm going to pick up in there because we got that meat drop. to make up for the gold that we just lost. Yep, pick up some Arthur armor. Gonna pick up a Psy gun as well, since it's a marathon run. Alright, so Apollo is here. He's ambushing us. It turns out that he's gonna betray us. And he's attacking us with his minion so that he can steal all of our magi. He was just letting us collect it so he could steal it from us. Fortunately, his minion is vulnerable to Stone Gaze, which my Watcher has. And yeah, we got it on the first try there. That was nice. I know, why does everyone want to steal my magi? Well, he took it. So yeah, we collected 76 pieces of magi up to this point. Apollo apparently had the 77th. So he's gonna go hide away in his sky palace and become a more powerful god or something. But it turns out that my dad is a real clever guy. He's really good at keeping secrets, not only from his family, but also from everybody else. And there's actually one more piece of magi. Apollo doesn't have all of them, even though he thinks he does. And the final one is guarded by Warmech at the end of the final cave here. So I'm going to pick up another agility weapon, the Karate, out of this box. It's better than the Headbutt, as we all know. Karate beats Headbutt. I'm also going to equip Dad with a Flare spellbook and those Hecate boots. Hecate? From earlier. And heal my party. Dad doesn't really have really great stuff to do, and he's gonna be in the party for a while now. So we give him that flare book that we picked up inside of Odin's palace, and the Hecate boots increase his mana stat, so he is gonna do more damage when he casts flare. So now Dad goes from being kind of useless to actually being really helpful in the upcoming boss fights. We have to fight both Warmech and Apollo. Okay, so yeah, this is backup item 1 of 2 here. This is the Arthur armor. It's really nice. It's barely out of the way at all, and it sells for like, I don't know, over 20,000 gold. So it actually makes up for most of what we didn't get from Odin there, just from that one item. And then the next item that is not very out of the way to help make up for the rest of the deficit is right here. This is a Psy gun, and that sells for about another 8,500, so between the two of them, that makes up for almost all of what we didn't get from Odin there. And like I said, we're gonna need all that money because we have to buy... We're gonna buy laser guns for everybody. And then we need to buy a bunch of healing stuff for the gauntlet at the end of the game that we gotta go through. Which is a very intense series of fights that we have to go through. Yeah, it's interesting, Polantaris, because it's like, if no meat drops, or if the Odin Crow meat drops, you get like 33,000 gold. But then if the Sleipnir meat drops, you get 330. And I don't know what it is. The game is just... something is not working. It screws up the calculated gold value for the fight. It's like you're just getting like a normal monster gold value instead of a boss. Yeah, maybe, but it's interesting that it only does it with that one, right? It doesn't do it with the Odin Crow meat. So yeah, I don't know what it is. It's pretty weird. It's a weird glitch. Okay, so here at the end of this long hallway, we get to meet the machine himself, Warmech. We are gonna safety save before this guy, because yeah, it's Warmech, right? Tank. Do you have anything good? Ah, Thunder. Stone Gaze. So Wormek, just like Minion, is actually vulnerable to Stone Gaze. It's about a 50-50 whether it hits or not. Missed the first turn there. Stone Gaze. I'm just gonna switch Dad over to healing. Nuke Bomb. Thanks, Wormek. Stone Gaze misses again. We're just gonna keep doing this until Stone Gaze hits, basically. Alright, third try on Stone Gaze. Cool, so we found the 78th piece of Magi there, the Heart Magi. Yo, what's up, Kaze? Kaze known. Alright, so we're here in Final Town. We've got some final shopping to do in Final Town. That's right, Captain Planet. So we're gonna sell everything. Oh, the side gun is 25,000 gold. Yeah, we're set. That's right. I picked up the expensive one. So we're gonna buy 5 laser guns. 4, 5. Yeah, we have so much money. We're good. And everyone gets a laser gun. You get one. You get one. My Watcher actually doesn't get one because Beam is basically a laser gun. And 3 for my Killer Robot. Why not? I'm also going to equip the Heart Magi on my monster. That's what you get. You don't get a laser gun, but you get Heart. Isn't that nice? Alright, and then over to the item shop here. I'm going to pick up 3 tents. Let's get 4 tents, I guess. And 6 elixirs. So this is more than enough healing items to get us through the endgame. Pretty much no matter what happens, so that's nice. Yo, hey, Chest Jerk. Thanks for the raid. Jerk raid. Chest Jerk. Also a Final Fantasy Legend 2 runner. I think that you have a 139 flat, so about 12 seconds faster in my PB. One day I'll beat it. But yeah, welcome in, Chest Jerk. All talk, no game. Everyone from Chest Jerk stream. We are fighting Apollo. Alright, so the thing with Apollo is he's got our Aegis Magi, right? He stole it from us. And so the only way we can really hurt him is with non-elemental damage. He sort of is acting like we can't hurt him right now, because most attacks wouldn't work. Yo, hey, Poexel, thanks for the raid. Look at all these Final Fantasy Legend 2 runners raiding the stream here. Welcome in, everyone from Poexel stream. So we need to get through a really huge HP pool that Apollo has here. Fortunately, he's gonna spend like 5 or 6 turns just sort of bragging about how great all the Magi he stole from us are, and we're gonna keep laser gunning him the whole time. Yo, hey, Shentok. Hey, 79ers. Hopefully the drops are being nicer. You know, for this run, we're actually getting really nice drops. But we did get the Sleipnir meat drop, so I had to pick up some backup items in the final cave anyway. Go figure. Alright, the music is changing. Apollo is about to evolve into his final form, his evolved form. So we can actually use the Cat Claw now, because the Aegis is no longer going to be up at this point. We can do some more damage. He's gonna hit somebody with the Masmian here. If it's Dad, I need to use the Heart Magi. Nope. Hit my robot, that's fine. This turn, he's gonna start to melt, and he's gonna use the Flare spell on us. Yo, hey, legit avocado. Yeah, I'm playing on the Game Boy player on the Nintendo GameCube, so it's basically a Game Boy Color. Alright. Dad fell right on. Alright, so Dad protected us. We've got all 78 pieces of Magi, and our dad is dying in front of us, so there's only one thing to do. We're gonna put them all together to create the statue of the goddess Isis, and it turns out she's fine. She's fine. Dad was really worried about it, but it's all good. She's actually pretty cool. When Apollo exploded, the explosion was so big that the whole world started to shake. And we have to go to the center of the world and fight. Laser, beam, bow, flare. We have to go to the center of the world and fight the ultimate killer robot machine, which was obviously going to be our destiny from the beginning. It was always fated to be this way. Of course, the final boss of this game has to be a killer robot. That's the only thing that would have ever made any poetic justice. So here we are, we're in the gauntlet. This is the end of the game. Really the best way to be getting through here is to be having Isis cast Flare on basically every fight. This is why we bought all those tents and elixirs. And I need to be keeping very careful track of how many spell casts Isis has left. So she's got one cast left. Once she uses that one, I need to use an elixir on her to make sure that she can replenish her spells. So this is going to be her last one. Nice P-Blast. The other thing I'm going to be kind of tracking as we're going through these fights is not every monster is going to be like one shot guaranteed by the flare spell. Most of them will, but there is one monster that always spawns with way more HP, the Musashi. And then there are some monsters that can spawn with like 850 or 830, and those ones will survive like flare fairly often. So I'm gonna menu like the robot attacking with the bow or something like that over to them, just so if flare doesn't finish it off, we don't go into round 2 and waste another flare spell. I also like to target the Sylph there because the Sylphs have the tornado ability and they're very scary. You can get really unlucky with the Sylphs and they can outspeed Isis, and if 2 of them use tornado on you, then it's actually a game over. Odin is not there to help you, and you're dead. So that's like, even if you're doing everything right, that's actually something that can kill you in the gauntlet here. But you have to get really unlucky for that to happen. See if it would do any damage. I bet it would do like 30 or 40 damage if I use P-Blast with like my, 4 mana or whatever my mutant has right now. It would probably do a little bit of damage. Alright, Tianlong is here. We definitely only want a small group of them, so 2 is the most we want to fight. Them using Tusk is actually really nice, because they could just use Tornado and kill us. So 1's down. I need my monster to survive this fight because I do need to eat his meat. But fortunately it is a guaranteed meat drop. And we change into our final monster, which is Madame Butterfly. Yeah, P-Blast came and P-Blast went. So goes the spell in the 4th slot of mutant ability. Okay, I have one more, right? Yeah. Okay, that's my last one. You have a nice laser sword. So at this point, we're never going back to a town. The item drops are not useful. There aren't very many spells that my mutant could learn that would be useful. I think the only thing that would be helpful at all at this point would be learning Surprise, because you can indeed ambush the final boss. So it's kind of nice if you get it. Might get a free round with the final boss. But for the most part, we're kind of looking to just gain HP if we get anything. That is actually the most useful thing at this point. Okay, 2 casts left. Okay, this is another mini boss here. This is Fenrir. Fenrir is a lot like Tianlong. It can just kill us with Tornado if it wants, so we do need to see a small group of them. 3 is too many, 4 is way too many. 2 is doable, but sometimes you still die. Yeah, there's 1 Tornado, it's bad. Okay, the one that we killed was the one who hadn't acted yet, so that's something. And... okay, we're fine. Could have been bad if a second one had showed up there. Let's do this. So, now that we're past Fenrir, we can enter the final room. The domain of the killer robot. Also, I guess, like the deepest part of the world tree. It's all roots down here. Alright, 1 cast left. Guarded by Wolf and Dragon, that's right. Been pretty lucky that we haven't seen the Musashi show up, which is the monster that just never dies to flare. Let's do one of these, why not? Bought an extra tent, may as well use it. Turned early. Not the efficient path. Alright, Isis not going early there. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of big HP gains here, actually, so you might see my first 2 characters survive quite a bit further into the final boss fight than usual, which is good, because they can kind of do some extra chip damage. Definitely doesn't hurt. Alright, one last tent. a nice place to take a nap for the night, right? Safety save. Alright, Isis is going to take the one on the right all on her own because she's that cool. And we're going to take the one on the left. Let's go. Alright, so laser, absorb, and cat claw. Alright, so this boss has 3 phases. Phase 1 is just these 4 cannons. The more of them that are not destroyed, the more damage that this phase is going to do every time it attacks. So first 2 cannons are down. We're going to take out the last 2 before it ever repairs them, so that's not really an issue. Cannon 3 is down. And cannon 4. So we're moving into phase 2 here, which is just the little smasher there. Does a little bit of single target damage to one of my characters, but this is sort of the easy phase of the fight, so I'm going to take the opportunity here to heal my robot up to full before we enter phase 3, which is the big smasher. So this phase only has 3000 HP, we get through it really quick, and I think in the next turn we're going to go into phase 3. Phase 3 is the big smasher. It deals a random amount of damage to all of my characters between 63 and 639 damages, so here we go. 333 and 189, those are pretty good rolls actually. My robot is still alive to do some damage. My monster has that absorb attack, and that's like really the key to winning this fight, is we're able to absorb and heal from the damage. The thing that you really want is good turn order. But yeah, there you go. My robot actually stayed alive the whole time, which doesn't usually happen, and dealt the final blow. So timing ends when Arsenal falls like that. And yeah, that was a good Arsenal fight. Arsenal is a lot of RNG just because of that really wide range of attacks in that final phase. So yeah, you'll often have to take a few attempts at Arsenal before you beat him. But yeah, we talked to Isis. She repaired this elevator. Apparently wasn't working earlier. And we can take it to see Dad. He's okay. Yeah, alright. Thanks for GG's, everybody. Thanks, Chest Jerk, Sandrina, I'll Talk No Game, Nightshade, Polentaris Hack, Puexel. Yeah, so I was kind of doing this as a commentated run, so I would have an example video that was actually commentated, because I never had one for this game. And this one went really well, actually. To do it as like a no reset commentary run in 141 is like really good, actually. So that was cool. Yeah, thanks, Tayrush. Yeah, that was a pretty good run. I think we had there were only like 1 or 2 back attacks in Venus's world. It was pretty good. And yeah, I think it was second try on the Watcher meet. First try Odin fight. Yeah, it was nice. It was a good run. Played it safe. We ended up with a lot of extra healing at the end, but that's fine for a no reset run. It's kind of what you want. You think phases 2 and 3 are connected until it takes 5,000 damage. I have 3,000 in my notes, but I don't remember where I got it from, so you might be right. But it feels like 3,000 is right, because phase 2 is really short, but I could be wrong. I don't remember where I got it from, so it could be 5. Music composition by Uematsu and Kenji Ito. The dream team. You're about 90% sure. I think that it's... I don't know when it resets, if it's when it takes its first action of the next phase and the music changes, or if it's just after you've crossed the threshold, like you've destroyed Canon 4 or whatever, but... Yeah, my intuition is that it's when it takes its action and the music changes, but I'm not too sure. Should probably look at the battle info sometime and see if you can parse that out. Because it would be good to know, just so you can obsess over the fight a little bit more. There's not really that much you can do about it, but yeah. Quit arguing, I know. Alright, Jane's not getting left behind again. Oh, that's pretty nice, chest jerk, yeah. I know it goes pretty fast when the robot lives and you can actually get a bunch of 1,000 damage attacks out there. But yeah, the end. It's a nice kind of end credits theme song here. But yeah, there you go. It's also nice when the robot goes first instead of last. Yeah, agility rolls in this game are definitely a suggestion. It's the most Dragon Quest thing about this game is turn order is... I had a fight earlier in one of my earlier runs tonight where I was in Odin. So it was the first round of the Odin fight. And you know, by that point your robot has 99 plus agility and it's just using the samurai bow on the crow. And my robot went last after everyone else in the fight, including all my party members. Every monster went first, Odin went first, my human went first with the tank, my mutant went first with the Aegis, and then my 99 agility robot with the samurai bow finally ended the round. I mean, the robot often goes first, or goes fast. It doesn't usually go last like that. But yeah, there are definitely some weird things that happen with calculations in this game, you can tell. It's always kind of funny. But yeah, that's cool. Nice to have such a nice no reset run there. Exactly 99, the robot should always go first. Yeah, but like by that, Isis should also always go first, right? But she doesn't. Sometimes she goes pretty late. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of randomness that's kind of built around it. Cool. So yeah, Questing for Glory starts tomorrow. On RPG Limit Break. I'm gonna be racing this game against Torima on Wednesday. And there's a lot of other very cool runs on the schedule. So definitely check it out, hang out. It's gonna be a good time. Yeah, Torima, oh yeah, that's right. Torima got this game into a GDQ, which is awesome. Final Fantasy Legend 2's never been in GDQ, so this is pretty cool. He's gonna run the any percent category, which is... it's about half as long as this category. It's much more of a, like, let's break the game category. But yeah, it's great to see it in there. Yeah, it might be at 4 a.m. Well, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it's really cool to see this game in there, and Toriyama is definitely like the person who deserves to be running it. So, I was pretty stoked to see that. So yeah, all right. Well, thanks everybody who hung out. Thanks Flexel and Chestjerk and Xance for the raids. Yeah, had a lot of fun today just playing some Final Fantasy Legend 2. I'm gonna raid Freedom Pulse. He's doing some DQ11. He's in 2D mode right now, which is great. And yeah, if nothing else, I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Have a good night.